Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Political Brown Kid here. It's another day and another day in the life of the liberal, racist idiot, also known as Bill Maher. And once again, I like to just fast forward and skim through his show. I don't watch it in real time. No pun intended. Well, yeah, pun intended, because that's the name of his show. I don't watch it in real time. I watch it on demand and skim through because I technically don't like the guy. Never have. But here's what I want to talk about. Once again, liberal, racist, and really he's leaning more towards being very conservative. For people who don't watch Bill Maher, or for people who actually do watch Bill Maher, this is what I want to say. And if you've been a lifelong follower, have you noticed, particularly you black people, because y'all are my people. That's why I'm calling specifically to you. If you've noticed, Bill Maher doesn't have black people on his panels anymore because he's been on the attack on anti woke, and he equates being woke with black agendas. So he's going on attacks against black agendas. He's going on attack against white people who self-loathe. When white people are like, "Oh, I'm just some white racist," or us white people, we've done so much wrong. He hates when white people self-loathe. So he goes on attacks with those, and he goes on attack with black agenda. So if you notice, he don't have anybody. Why isn't his buddy Killer Mike on the show anymore? Why hasn't he had Killer Mike on there? Why hasn't he had? Well, the only person I could see him possibly having on the show is Cornel West, because Cornel West will say some coonish stuff sometimes. That's just putting it mildly. But Cornel West will say some things out of his mouth that's just kind of like, oh Lord. I even saw him on Fox News. But in any event, I'm not going to hold this up. I want to get into and play what he just did on his last show, which aired over the weekend, over the, I guess, November 10th weekend, when he had Ted Cruz on the show. So I just kind of want to play that. But first, I don't have one clip, but one thing that was definitely said, and I don't know if it was whether it was on this show or if it was on another show previously, but what he said was, he said he believes in free speech. So he made that comment. Okay. But yet he goes on the attacks, and I do remember him. It was him and or his panel, and I don't remember which episode it was, when they were like, yeah, the 31, because it was like 30 plus, I think Harvard kids, I think it was Harvard, 31 Harvard students who had signed some letter denouncing Israel, but yet he was in favor of them being identified, outed, and being prevented from getting jobs in the future for basically publicly denouncing Israel. So it's amazing that you agree with free speech, and you also agree with blackballing and McCarthy type behavior. So that's very interesting, Bill Maher, which makes you still an asshole, and you're always going to be an asshole in my eyes. But anyway, let me play these two clips right here. So the first clip that you're going to hear, he's talking about, I guess, Barack Obama made a statement that kind of went against Israel. Barack's statement actually went against both parties. He kind of just made a neutral comment. He made a Trump type comment. There's good people on both sides, or there's bad people on both sides, right? So this is the clip. I want you to listen to it.
Yeah, I must say, I am struggling with people's moral equivalency still. I mean, Barack Obama, who has rarely disappointed me, did so this week. I mean, his statement, it's not a horrible statement, but he said, if you want to solve the problem, then you have to take in the whole truth, and then you have to admit nobody's hands are clean. Literally, that's true, of course. But just give me two examples where this is, I don't think, a helpful statement at this moment. First of all, the attack was only a month ago. A more savage attack than we've ever seen in reverse. There's a big difference between collateral damage and what Hamas did. Second.
So as you can see, anytime someone says something negative about Israel, these people get up in arms, particularly Bill Maher. Bill Maher, and not just Bill Maher, but you'll see a lot of Fox News people, and a lot of people are just up in arms over anything negative said about Israel. If you make a negative comment, the difference between when you're black and when we call people racist, and when you say something is anti-Semitic, When something's classified as racist, that means that you've done something, an agenda against a black person. It's usually some type of harm. You've either denied them a job, God forbid, you've deleted them, in the traditional manners of, nowadays they use, all kind of tools, but they're deleting people based on race. You're denying people jobs, or you're discriminating them against based on race. You're calling them racial names. Those are when black people say you're discriminating against us, things of that nature. When you discriminate and when you're classified as anti-Semitic, you can just say, I don't agree with what that Jewish person said. And as soon as you disagree with something that they said or something that they did, then you're classified as an anti-Semitic. It's amazing. So the bar for being anti-Semitic is very low. And then the bar for being a racist, because you look at these panels, white people say stuff on Fox News all the time about black people. Bill Maher says things about black people. No one classifies him as being a racist. But as soon as you say something negative, or as soon as you say, I think Israel is in the wrong for doing what they're doing, then all of a sudden you're anti-Semitic. And then they're up in arms, and they are hopping mad. They're the only country outside of Americans that Bill Maher and them care about. There's people getting there are countries, there are atrocities committed all over the world. I don't hear Bill Maher talking about Ukraine and Russia the way he talks about Israel. But that's another point. But in this clip that you just heard, what Obama just basically stated was that there were atrocities committed by both people, or there were bad things done by both parties. And basically, Barack Obama is giving a historical context behind this, because trust me, y'all, this Hamas-Israel spat did not start even with the Palestinians. The Palestinian-Israel spat. This isn't just start in 2023 or 2022, people. This started 50 years ago. 100 years ago. So that's why I'm just trying to understand. Listen, sometimes when you're not educated and don't have the history, don't even speak on the historical context of who was right or who was wrong. That's like getting involved in the Hatfields and McCoys and stating who was right, who was wrong. Stay out of it. The bottom line in this situation is, and then also too, before I say what I'm going to say, if you notice what he says, this is the ignorance of people like Bill Maher. What he basically says is there's a difference, and you heard it from his mouth. Number one, he agrees that Obama's right. So what's your beef? He's agreeing that the statement that Obama said is right, that both parties committed faults. Both parties are at fault. But he's mad because, why are you saying it now? Because it goes against the propaganda. Bill Maher's mad because by making that statement, it's basically making more people sympathize with Hamas and the Palestinians, with those two groups, as opposed to sympathizing with Israel. That's why he's mad. But if you're in agreement with what Obama said, why the hell are you mad? That's number one. So then the other thing that he says in this statement is, well, there's a difference between collateral damage. Now, this is the part that really ticked me off. There's a difference between collateral damage and what Hamas did. Well, what did Hamas do? Oh, okay, you're trying to say that Hamas initiated a war. Yes, Hamas probably did in this case right now. They probably did. I don't know. I don't have the history. But hypothetically, if I accept your premise and say that they did start this war, well, trust me, somebody has to start something. Okay, so they took collateral damage. Collateral damage is collateral damage. That's what wars have. Every war has collateral damage. When the United States bombed Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, there was collateral damage done. Every war has collateral damage. I'm pretty sure the Civil War had collateral damage. Collateral damage is always taken. So what are you trying to say, that there's a difference between Israel's collateral damage and Hamas's collateral damage? Collateral damage is collateral damage. Some poor soul walking down the street that has nothing to do with your war. Some poor kid, some poor infant that was just born 2 hours ago, 1 hour ago, that's no longer on this planet because of some weapon, whether it's from Hamas or whether it's from Israel. It doesn't matter to that child. Do you think that child's parent cares that you're trying to differentiate collateral damage versus some unprovoked war that you think is unprovoked. Matter of fact, that you think is unprovoked. Hamas doesn't think is unprovoked. They just probably were waiting and biding their time for an opportunity to catch a giant sleeping. Because once again, when you know you have fewer resources, you're going to fight the war that you have to fight. And so that's the part that really ticked me off. Now let's go into the second part. Now he's going to be talking about, I guess, a bunch of journalists in America who signed a petition. They did something similar to what those Harvard students did. So let's listen to that.
Oh, what do you think of this? More than 750 journalists now, this is just today, from Washington Post, LA Times, Guardian, signed a letter condemning Israel's killing of journalists. 39 have been killed. And they are urging integrity in Western media coverage of Israel's atrocities against Palestinians. No mention of the other thing that happened.
You can imagine.
So now you're up in arms because some journalists, and it was over 100 journalists, that signed a petition kind of denouncing what Israel's doing. So if you have some Harvard students that are denouncing the war, and you have some journalists that are denouncing the war, and you claim that you believe in freedom of speech, what is your problem? It's okay for you to disagree and say, I disagree, I don't agree with what their position is or whatever. But why are you so up in arms and you're trying to ruin people's careers, and you want these 30-something Harvard students who signed this letter to never be able to work in whatever field it is that they're going to school for? I'm assuming it's law. I do believe it was a law school. And then now you're probably going to want to attack these 100+ journalists because these journalists are going against Israel. So once again, y'all, this is the foolishness of Bill Maher. I want y'all to understand this guy. He's a liberal racist, and now he's actually inching more. And he even said it when he was talking to Ted Cruz early in this episode. He was like, yeah, people are calling him a Republican now. So it's not just me. I've been recognized that he was Republican 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That's why I stopped watching him. So this guy, anytime it benefits white liberal agenda, he's all for it because all he wants is black votes. But as soon as you start talking reparations, he has a problem with it. But he doesn't have a problem with COVID distribution of funds. He doesn't have a problem with cancellation of student loan debts. These are all things. The COVID Act cost, I think, $3 trillion. I do believe that COVID bill was $3 trillion. They've been adding stimulus upon stimulus. The student loan debts, that is, I don't know what the numbers on that is, but they're writing off loans from people who agreed to take out a student loan. So basically, you signed a contract, you signed an agreement, and now all of a sudden you don't want to pay back with the contract that you signed. It's amazing. And now, if you even look at it too, what was the guy, Andrew Yang? He wanted to give every American citizen, he wants to give them a stipend, what is like $500 a month, $1,000 a month of just free money. But yet when people start saying, well, you paid the Japanese their reparations, you've given the indigenous Americans their reparations, when are you going to give African American families their reparations? Then all of a sudden it becomes, it's so complicated. It's too complicated. Now it's a relationship status, right? That's a situationship. It's complicated. We can't do that. How do we know who to give funds to? How do we know who not to give funds? You have all of these complexities when I think it's a very simple answer. And then also too, it's very expensive. That will cost a lot of money. Oh, will it cost more than $3 trillion that we gave everybody for COVID? That we gave everybody for the auto bailouts in 2007 and 2008 when we had the Great Recession of that time? No, it would not. But this is what liberal racists do. They're bleeding heart liberals so long as it's for their white liberal cause. But as soon as it starts impacting only specifically black people, they don't care. So once again, this is the political brown kid saying, F you, Bill Maher. You're a piece of trash. Remember to like, subscribe, and share the video. I'm out of here.